The following episode contains approximately 815 spoilers for all seasons and episodes of Lost. You've been warned. Live from the outbreak of World War III, it's Lost the Plot, the podcast where two Irish lads, two scared, trembling Irish lads at world events, discuss the hit ABC TV series from a bygone era, a more peaceful time, Lost. My name is Dave. I'm one of your co-hosts. Joining me, as always, is I was going to say irreputable. What does that even mean? It's Ado.
You literally just introduced yourself to highlight the fact that I didn't introduce myself last week, didn't you? You are that petty.
I'm rubbing it in. I'm getting my. Hey, listen. No one can deny that you have a better voice for radio, but I got the showbiz zazz, baby. I know how to host.
Well, you do know that I have hosted a radio show before in the past, right?
No, go away.
Here's a story. Gather around, kids. I'll tell you an old scale, right?
Wait, no, this isn't your Leprechaun ad reads.
No. I have told the story of me voicing a leprechaun for Canadian radio once upon a time. Nope, this is an entirely different thing. 2 words for you, buddy. TY radio.
Oh,
do you remember those days?
Well, we didn't get that, but I think I remember you telling me about this in uni, and I was crippled with jealousy. Quick little fill in for our international listeners. TY is an optional year between your 3rd and 5th year of secondary school in Ireland. It's optional. Both of us did it because it's generally considered to be a massive DOS. You do absolutely fuck all for the year. You get to do fun little projects such as TY radio, apparently, which Ado is about to tell us about.
Yeah. So for anyone trying to work out how old you would be if your school system is not the same as ours, roughly around 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, I turned 16 in TY. I started at 15.
Yeah, so did I. Turned 16 during TY. Got my first girlfriend. Got laid that year as well.
Yeah, same.
Those are connected.
That's the year I lost my virginity.
Started drinking.
Just after TY. But yeah, I started drinking in TY. Good times.
All the fun stuff I did during TY. Or transition year, as it was called. But TY radio was, I don't even know the best way of describing it. It was like a project run by RTE, which is like the national broadcaster here in Ireland, where they had this van. It was like from the outside, it looked like a gigantic camper van. And it went around the country to different schools. Like they would pick these schools beforehand, obviously. And they would work with the transition year class, the TY class from that school for like a week, 2 weeks, I think.
That makes sense why they never came to my school then, because if they had, that van would have left without hubcaps.
Yeah, I know the town you went to school then. So they picked our school during the year that I was in transition year, which was amazing. So they came, interviewed us. Now, our TY class was exceptionally small. It was so small, they were thinking of scrapping TY and just bumping all of us into 5th year.
Oh, what a tragedy that would have been.
Yeah, within the first like 2 or 3 weeks. But then we got like 2 more people join us. So for context, we started off with about 15 people in our class for TY. And then as each day went on, more and more people dropped out and decided, no, they just want to go straight into 5th year and start studying for their Leaving Cert exam, right?
Whoa, that's wild to me. I feel like everybody who did TY in my school, and there was quite a few of us compared to yours, was hard committed to, like, they did it because they wanted to do fuck all. If they had any doubts, they probably would have just gone straight into 5th year. I can't believe that people got cold feet for TY.
We got down to 9 people in our class, and the school was thinking of scrapping the whole project. But thankfully they didn't. Later on in the year, we got word from RTE that, yeah, they wanted to send the roadcaster. That's what they called it. The fucking roadcaster. Sent it to our school. They interviewed all 9 of us to see who would make the better host. And for some fucking bizarre reason, they decided on me.
I mean, there's a reason I asked you to co-host a podcast with me, because, again, show business, baby.
Yeah, well, it's not because of my looks anyway. So the rest of the class were, obviously, everyone had to be given a job to do, right? There was one girl I remember who was so fucking useless. She was just given the task of project manager or something like that. Basically, she didn't have to do anything. Everyone else had to try and find something to do with a particular topic, and they would do a segment on the radio for it. Now, this was all the recording. The team came out to us from RTE to the school. They helped us pick what topics we would do a segment on, and then we would record it all. And then RTE fucked off. They'd edit it all together, and it would be broadcast on national radio during a certain time on a certain day for 1 hour. It was an hour-long show.
In a way, this was a proto-Lost plot.
In a way. Up until quite recently, you could Google my name and my hometown, and there was a picture of me sitting in the roadcaster with the cans on in front of a mic, right? And here's the beautiful thing. This was my favorite thing about it. On one day, I think it was on the last day that the team were at the school, I got to sit in the roadcaster at one end of it because they used it for public outings as well. And there was an onboard recording studio for the radio host to sit at that had like windows all around. So I was sitting up in this giant camper van looking out on the schoolyard during the school break, and my voice projecting out to everyone while we played songs. And I acted as a DJ, and I was so fucking corny and cheesy during this whole thing, right? But yeah, I've just done a quick Google-roo search there now. I cannot find that picture online.
Ah, pity.
I know I have it saved somewhere. It's like on a Google Drive or something of a photograph of a newspaper clipping that had me with the cans on in front of the mic and all this shit. And I remember, like, I was 16 at the time. Like a teenager, but I felt like, you know, like an adult almost. Like I was a big kid now. I was one of the big kids. But I remember looking at this picture. Even today, I still look at that picture. I remember exactly how I look at it. I look like I'm 12 years old with these massively oversized headphones on my head.
Like Charlie Brown with the earmuffs or something. Damn. So former radio host, extra in Hollywood TV and movies, spokesperson on a commercial for a supermarket,
voice actor,
rubbing elbows with the stars, and now fucking hosting a podcast. What a storied media career you've had. I
am full of stories.
So at the opening of this episode, I sort of glibly referred to the situation going on in Ukraine right now. You know, we're neither of us are experts on geopolitics. I don't feel like we need to discuss this too much, but the whole thing fucking sucks, and we're happy to offer some escapism from that. But you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't maybe signal boost some people who are doing good work on the ground there. So today I just want to plug the Voices of Children charity. This is a charity they've actually been long running. I think they've been running since the 2014 annexation of Crimea, and they provide psychological and psychosocial support for children who are affected by the war in eastern Ukraine and now this invasion as well, I assume. I'm going to include a link in the show notes to that charity. Please give generously if you're in a position to do so. That's Voices of Children, voices.org.ua, and then /en if you want their English site.
Absolutely. Please, please, please donate to these guys. They do really, really good work.
Anyway, our thoughts, however useless they may be, are with everyone there. It's just a shitty situation. If you know someone who's in Ukraine, or more unlikely you're in Ukraine, please stay safe. We're thinking about you. So now let us offer some escapism in the form of talking about a bit of Lost. But first, Ada, do you know what time it is?
Checking. I feel like
it's time for listener email. Ada, I want you to cast your mind back here to 2 weeks ago.
Okay, casting.
To our Hurley episode where
we were talking about the numbers.
Exactly. We discussed the numbers, and Sam Toomey, his wife with the horrid accent, gave a story about how he guessed some jelly beans. You remember what I'm talking about, right? It was basically he guessed the numbers, and it was like 4.8 billion jelly beans.
Yeah, and I tried to do some, on-air calculation, and we figured it would fill like Yankee Stadium or something.
Something like that, yeah. You sort of off the cuff then said you weren't confident in your calculations and asked our resident fact checker, Ryan, to write in to
No
correct
way.
us. Dude, Ryan turned the fuck up this week.
Oh, hit me with this shit.
So it's a bit of a long email, but just react as you see fit, okay?
Okay.
This is from Ryan. Shout out to Ryan. Thank you so much for writing in. The subject of this email is mathgasm. So you already know it's going to be good. Right?
Oh, I'm ready.
So Ryan opens, hello, lads. Cannot tell you how proud I was that you had me in your thoughts when it comes to fact checking. More crucially, maths facts. Had a lovely time. I assume he's saying he had a lovely time making these calculations. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So Ryan continues, the average jelly beans volume, as Ado stated, has a volume of 3.5325 centimeters cubed, weighs 1.14 grams, and is 2 centimeters long.
Yep, sounds legit.
To work out how much of a particular volume area they could fill, you would have to find roughly 80% of the volume of area due to the jelly bean's slightly rounded exterior. They would not fill an area fully due to this.
Okay.
Sound logic. However, despite this, thanks to the fact that there are 4,815,162,342 of the little buggers, you would need quite a big jar. Yeah, I assume so. Your average jam jar, 370 milliliters, would hold a measly 84 jelly beans, meaning you would need 57,464,733 jam jars to hold that many.
I have a sudden and desperate need to buy a jam jar and jelly beans and experiment with it. I need to count.
Okay, so Ryan continues. I can't tell you how much I enjoy this email. Like, he's just laid out. Let's let it speak for itself. A portaloo, brackets, no idea.
What?
Portaloo, brackets, no idea why I thought of this. Just thought it was a funny image. Would hold 782,675 jelly beans. So you could fill 6,152 portaloos and have a couple left over.
Wait, how many portaloos?
6,152.2 portaloos to be exact.
So at Sam's Fair, there was how many fucking jam jars of this shit, possibly?
So we said 57.4 million jam jars, 6,000 portaloos. Ryan continues, fancy a dip? Grab 566,171,266 jelly beans, and you could fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So you would fill 8.5 pools with this number of beans.
Holy fuck, Ryan, he just keeps going.
Your move, Beijing Winter Olympics. That was a flourish added by me. That's not in the email. Ryan says, your average UK two-story house has an estimated inner volume of 352.5 meters cubed, meaning it would hold 79,784. Sorry, I'll take that again. 79,784,855 jelly beans.
Well, I was thinking it wasn't 70 odd thousand because you said a portaloo could hold like 700,000. Yeah. I'm like, I know rent prices are bad in London, but apartments aren't that small.
Right. So this number of jelly beans would fill 60.3 UK homes. Brackets, bigger than my street. Ryan is from a town in the north of England called Burnley.
Ah, northerner.
He continues, sadly, when we get to the big arenas / stadia, it isn't quite as exciting. The Croke Stadium, Ireland's biggest stadium, I believe. Correction there, Ryan, it's called Croke Park.
Or Croker.
Or Croker. Croke Park, while it can hold 82,300 people, there's room for quite a few more jelly beans than that. Assuming you base the floor space of the stadium, which is 16 square acres, when accounting the height of the stadium, you would need a whopping 513,231,875,442 to fill the ground. Okay, so that's more than the numbers.
And our number of jelly beans falls just short of that.
So maybe we were off with our Yankee Stadium / Madison Square Garden measurements last week.
I think that's a safe assumption, yes. Our calculations not being accurate is really not a surprise to me.
Ryan said our number would fill just 0.001%, assuming there are no seats, etc. Were you to fill up just the pitch area, floor to ceiling would require 103,233,404,104 beans. Our number filling just 0.05% of this. Whew. Okay.
Now, hold on. You have to take into account that the jelly beans are not taking up their full volume due to their curved edges and slightly bent shape. So if you were to melt down this volume of jelly beans...
Don't give him more homework. We're not even finished the email yet. I got to power through, right? At this point, I got carried away, says Ryan. At this point? All right. So he put in fucking hours here. At this point, I got carried away. So I thought I would chuck some bonus stats in. The number of jelly beans supposedly in this TARDIS-style jar weighs as much as 61,539 Irishmen, based on the average Irish male weight of 89.2 kilograms or 14 stone.
Yeah, okay.
Or just shy of 915 full-grown African elephants. 914.9 to be more precise. So one which has a tusk missing or something.
Oh, I am loving this.
We're almost there. Last bit of maths here, and then Ryan has a couple more things to say. And finally, jelly bean trivia coming to an end. If you were to place each jelly bean end to end, it would stretch around planet Earth 2.4 times. Earth's circumference is 40,075 kilometers.
Well, I know what our big project is.
It's like that thing in the 80s where everybody held hands across America, except we're just setting up fucking jelly beans. Ryan finishes. Apologies for the long drawn out email. On to Lost now. I feel like you've missed a trick in not naming our boy John as Crocodile Dundee.
Oh,
that's a good one. To be fair, Crocodile Lock, which is our often used name for him, that is the name of the Chiquino Lock theme, the musical sting that plays when general lockiness is happening.
I really do like Crocodile Dundee, though.
Yeah, it's great. Also, I was trying to think of a Lost-based question, but couldn't think of anything good. So if you could have one fictional character with you on the island, who would it be? Mine is Tony Stark. Peace and love, boys. Keep up the fantastic shite talking. All right, Ryan, thank you so much for that email. Cannot tell you how much we appreciate just the sheer labor and manpower and time that went into that.
I applaud you, good sir.
Yeah, that was awesome. Shout out. What about that question there at the end? So he phrased it, if you could have one fictional character with you on the island. I'm not sure if he means with you specifically or among the survivors. I think among the survivors is maybe a little bit more fun to think about.
Yeah.
Ryan mentions Tony Stark. That could be interesting. I haven't watched as many Marvel movies as you, so maybe you can back this up. But like, I feel like Tony Stark, he's smart and everything, but if he doesn't have his technology around him, there's not a whole lot he could be doing.
So here's the thing. In the third movie, Iron Man 3, Tony Stark gets himself into a situation where he is stranded in the middle of bumfuck nowhere with no technology, and he's able to repair his own Iron Man suit. I mean, shit. Go back to the first Iron Man movie. He's literally held captive by terrorists in a cave in the Middle East and is able to construct this big fucking suit of armor with guns and shit attached to it. Although, granted, they do give him a bit of technology because they're trying to make him construct a missile that his company's made and all this shit, right?
Him and Saeed would be fucking unstoppable together.
They create a fucking submarine and get off the island.
Yeah. Last week's episode where Sawyer, Saeed like welded up some glasses, they would shoot lasers if Tony Stark was on the island. Do you have an answer for Ryan's question? If you could have one fictional character on the island, who would it be?
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Do you want to elaborate?
Well, first of all, more black representation on the island. And second of all, just sheer entertainment factor.
Will Smith is always watchable.
And I don't want Fresh Prince from back in the day when Fresh Prince was on air. I mean, Will Smith today. I'm talking Will Smith. And how old is that cunt? In his 50s, like?
Yeah, I think he must be in his 50s by now.
In the baggy t-shirt, the shorts, the cap, trying to act like a fucking teenager again. I want to see that shit.
Would you accept 2004 Will Smith, seeing as that's when this aired? That would be like iRobot era?
Yeah, okay. So either Either I would go with him or I'd go with Winnie the Pooh.
I don't think that needs any explanation.
Nope, and you're not getting any.
I would pick George Costanza from Seinfeld because could always use more comic relief.
Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect.
All right, the world is going to hell right now. Things aren't so good, but I know somewhere we can escape. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do it. Let's go. This week, we are discussing season 1, episode 20 of Lost. Episode 20, 2-0. I can't believe we've discussed 20 episodes of this shit. This episode is entitled Do No Harm.
Oh, thank fuck, because I had episode 19 written down. Turns out it's just an error. I did watch the same episode. Awesome.
Lost the Plot, episode 19, discussing Lost, episode 20, Do No Harm, which first aired the 6th of April, 2005. What do you think that title refers to? Do No Harm.
Oh, come on. This is an easy one. It's a doctor's moral code.
This does not refer to the Hippocratic Oath, but a common misconception about it. So common that I think maybe the writers made this mistake as well. So yeah, you're right. A lot of medical schools will, as a sort of rite of passage and graduation, will have their students take the Hippocratic Oath, and often they'll make up their own one, which includes the words do no harm. But the original oath written by Hippocrates doesn't actually have the words do no harm in it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he did write that in another one of his works called Of the Epidemics. So primum non nocere, first do no harm. It's attributed to Hippocrates. It's not from his oath, like I said. There is similar language in the oath, but the exact words do no harm don't appear. Would you like to know the wording in the oath?
I would love to know the wording of the oath, please.
So the oath states, quote, I will follow that system of regimen which, according to my ability and judgment, I consider for the benefit of my patients, and abstain from whatever is deleterious and mischievous. I like those last couple of words.
Deleterious? I don't think I've ever heard that word before.
Deleterious and mischievous. Ironically, most modern scholars don't actually regard the original Hippocratic Oath as being written by Hippocrates, even though it is generally traditionally attributed to him. However, in his work Of the Epidemics, where primum non nocere, do no harm, does appear, the quote is, quote, the physician must be able to tell the antecedents, know the present, and foretell the future, must mediate these things and have two special objects in view with regard to disease, namely to do good or to do no harm.
Well, that sounds pretty all-encompassing.
There's my little info dump about Hippocrates and the title. Pretty self-explanatory why they named the episode this title, right?
Especially by the time we get to the end of it. Yep, absolutely.
Hell yeah. This episode was directed by our boy, Stephen Williams. He's back, y'all.
Hey!
Last episode he directed, and I believe his first was All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues. This dude
Great
loves
episode.
a Jack episode.
I wonder why. I wonder if there's something there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does Mr. Williams have his own daddy issues, I wonder?
Who doesn't?
Because even though this episode pretty much has nothing to do with the relationship between Jack and his dad, they kind of sneak it in a little bit, almost unnecessarily.
Yeah, I think Jack is just, his flashbacks are so tied to Christian at this point that they would have to do like some wild fucking story just to not include him. I don't know, something about like how he got his tattoos, maybe.
Yeah, let's hope they never do that.
This episode was written by newcomer Janet Tamaro. This is her only credited Lost episode. She was a freelance writer on season 1. I mentioned this before. I'm not really sure how freelance writers work in TV. I'm guessing it's just a way to hire writers without giving them WGA benefits, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this is her only credited Lost episode. Like I said, this lady's had a pretty wild career, though, right? She started off as an on-camera correspondent for ABC News 1.
Oh, wow. Okay, that I was not expecting that.
You won't be expecting this even more. In 1998, she published a book entitled, are you ready for this?
Hit me.
So that's what they're there for. ! Breastfeeding basics.
I'm sorry, what?
She wrote a book about breastfeeding, which makes her, I think, uniquely qualified to write a childbirth episode.
Do you know what? Never even considered that. But fun fact, breastfeeding is like the only way you can get titties onto YouTube. That and demonstratory videos on how to hand express. Don't ask why I know that.
It'll come with the trivia
Yeah,
this week.
there you go. There you go.
So Janet, yeah, she's also written for Law and Order, CSI, Bones, all those kind of procedural crime dramas.
So an on-camera news correspondent for who did you say?
ABC News 1.
For ABC News 1. Then she wrote a book about breastfeeding and then went into TV writing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, shit. Okay. A modern Renaissance woman.
Right? Good on you, Janet. Shout out. So before we get into the episode, I want to ask you to do something for me. Can you open up Disney Plus right now?
Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, okay. I've got it here in front of me.
Take a look at the thumbnail for this episode. The episode Do No Harm, episode 20. Follow along at home if you have access to Disney Plus.
Okay, hold on. On season 1, just scroll through the episodes, and there, episode 20, Do No Harm, and I'm looking at said thumbnail.
So right there, you see just a shot of Jack looking sort of tired and worn out or something, right?
Yeah, it kind of looks like he's unscrewing a jar or something.
Right down to the bottom left, there is some kind of shape that looks like a dick.
No, there isn't.
What are you talking about?
I would have assumed that's like someone's hand or something.
It looks like a cock.
No, it doesn't.
You really don't think so?
No.
It's gray.
Oh, wait, you're looking at the thing in the very bottom left corner.
Yeah.
Oh, that just looks like, I don't know, like a I don't know, cocktail shaker or something. You think it looks like a dick?
It looks like the top of a Mickey. You don't think so?
No.
It looks like the silhouette of a penis.
Listen, unless you've got some hardcore, pun intended, trivia that states otherwise, no, that is not.
I'm not saying it is one, but it's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I can't believe you don't think it looks like a cock.
Well, I know what's on your mind.
All right, let's fucking get into this episode. Jesus.
Yeah, get your mind out of the gutter. Let's do this shit.
So we get our previously on Lost, and then we open on a crisis, and Boone is in big fucking trouble. They're in the caves. They're hoisting up onto like a sort of a nice convenient place for him to lie. And Jack is stressed as fuck. People are shouting stuff at him. He's like, I don't fucking know. I have all the information you do. Boone is awake.
Yeah.
He's a lot more animated than we last saw him, where he was essentially unconscious. He's kind of moving now. He's muttering and coughing out words. And there's a funny bit here where Jack says, son, pair of scissors in the second drawer or whatever. And for a split second, I thought he was addressing Boone as son. He's talking to son, obviously, but I was like, dude, he's in no condition to get you a scissors.
Well, seemingly Sun thought the same because she doesn't do a fucking thing.
But you know what? She is pretty on it after Jack sort of snaps her out of it. She's kind of on it with her nurse shit. And like, all I can think of is it's a good thing Sun revealed that she spoke English in time, because if she was still pretending, she would have to be useless in this situation, right?
Or else reveal that she does know English and distract everyone from the fact that Boone is fucking dying here. Like, he's in bad shape.
So Jack's barking instructions. He asks Hurley to do something, and Hurley's feeling woozy, which we know he doesn't like the sight of blood.
And when he starts tearing on the spot, Jack is like just not having any of it.
But he got this. Hurley jumps into action. Jack instructs Kate to like run down to the beach and raid Sawyer's stash. And then suddenly Boone sounds like he's really struggling to breathe. And Jack confirms to everyone that his lung has just collapsed.
Ugh, man, something I wish will never, ever happen to me.
I guess that now is as good a time as any to say it. Boone has a rough fucking go of it in this episode.
Holy fuck, like he's got to be in absolute agony because they've nothing in the way of any kind of anesthetic to put him on. They've no way of putting him under.
The whole
Holy
time,
shit.
just the worst way to go. You could hardly pick a worse death than the one he got. Just hours and hours of constant pain, essentially, and discomfort. But where the fuck are his tracheotomy pens when you need them? Jack gets like, what do you call that? Like a knitting peg?
It's just a knitting needle.
He takes a knitting needle and he punctures Boone's lung, and it's fucking oof.
I wonder how medically accurate that is, because I've seen that in a lot of TV shows and movies.
Yeah, like a collapsed lung.
Yeah, I know I've seen it in a few. Like, it's definitely in house. I've seen it in a movie or two at least, definitely.
Yeah, it could be one of those TV medical things. I'll tell you what, if you've seen it in Scrubs, it's legit. So Jack in action, I think, is pretty great. Even though he's stressed here, he's really fucking on it. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. But he takes a little minute to himself to have a flashback. He's tying a bow tie for some ginger cunt. And the first thing I thought of was we had 3 Jack flashback episodes in season 1. Flash Jack episodes.
Flash Jack. Yeah, well, I mean, it's really solidifying him in place as the main character of the show, right?
Yeah, but I was thinking this while I was watching it, and maybe this becomes more of a thing once his and Locke's rivalry starts to heat up more. But like, he doesn't get treated as much like a leader as I remember.
No, I mean, we always remember Jack as just being the leader of the group. Like either it's official or it's de facto, one way or the other. But rewatching season 1, no, he's very much like a reluctant leader, and everyone kind of fends for themselves, more or less, unless it's a time of crisis. Every time there's a time of crisis, you just hear everyone go, get Jack, mainly because he's the doctor. I think it's that doctor status.
Yeah, I think a medical crisis for sure, but I would put him on equal footing with like Saeed and Locke so far in the show.
Can we just collectively refer to them as the Council?
The Council of Legends.
The Council of Legends. There you go. That's it.
Anyway, Jack's tying a bow tie for his mate. This dude's name is Silverman. Did you pick up the reference here?
I did, because I raised it as a trivia point in a much earlier episode. This is the same kid from the schoolyard when Jack was getting the shit kicked out of him in a much earlier flashback.
Mark Silverman. Here he is on some kind of big day. Is it his big day? Well, no, it's not, because we got a nice little misdirect here. And it turns out that Silverman is the best man, and this is fucking Jack's wedding that they're preparing for.
Yeah, because Jack is just, if I remember correctly, he's in like a faded wife beater or something, or he's in a t-shirt, like just dressed as casually as you please, preparing his friend Mark in a tux. And he even says to Mark, like, hey, you can still back out of it. You know, you don't have to do this. Yeah,
he's psyching him up because he's nervous. And then it turns out he's psyching him up for his fucking best man speech. Mark says he'd be fine after 8 beers. Numbers.
Oh, I never pick up on the numbers. That's brilliant.
We get back to the island, and Sun is not enjoying the smell of Boone's punctured lung because, you know, she's got problems. And she asks Jack to sew the wound. And Jack, he tells Boone that he's not going to die. And even first-time viewers should know better here. I mean, Boone is fucked up.
Yeah, don't make promises you know you definitely can't keep.
They don't have medical supplies, like you said. It's not a sterile environment. This dude's boned. But Jack insists. He says, I am going to save you.
Yeah, but this is Jack's biggest weakness and his biggest strength. He just doesn't give up.
Yeah, which we learn a lot about in this episode. Ties in with the sort of themes of this episode. Yeah. We get our title card. And then we cut to Claire walking up the beach. And she's not looking too happy. Sawyer, Mike, and Walt are sort of hanging out, and they're eating fish and
having a cookout.
Yeah, having a cookout. And Jin's baiting away at the boat in the background. He's like chopping something with an axe or something like that. And Sawyer calls Claire Mamacita, and he offers her some fish. Hey, Mamacita.
Mamacita has 8 letters in it. Numbers. Sorry, I'm just trying to find numbers now.
Claire asks for like sort of a timeline on the boat, an update. And Mike says it'll be ready in a week or less. Which, damn.
They are making some fucking progress.
We're in the fucking home stretch with this boat. Good on you, Mikey. Claire seems really anxious to sort of know what the crack is with the boat, but she won't really say much. And she saunters off. And Sawyer goes, I think she likes me.
I mean, the only reason she can be that interested in the boat is she wants to be on it.
Yeah, suddenly she's in a big hurry.
Yeah, but then why doesn't she want to just tell them, hey guys, any room on the boat?
Yeah, I don't know if she, we find out her reasons in a little bit. Maybe she doesn't want to admit that to herself just yet.
Yeah, probably.
So Mike then turns his attention to Jin and he asks him to take a break, but Jin refuses to shit on company time. And Sawyer describes it as an overzealous work ethic. And I got to say, I've never agreed with him more.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably tied to that whole, I know this is mainly said as a Japanese thing, but the whole salaryman lifestyle he was living, working for Sun's dad, maybe it's something to do with that, or maybe it's just Jin desperate as fuck to get off the island and finish this boat.
Well, we also know that it's in his genes because do you remember the scene where he went to see his dad for the first time in years? And his dad fucking made him throw on a pair of gloves and do a bit of work.
True.
No rest for the wicked.
Can I just say that I love this relationship between Michael and Jane?
Yeah, it's really starting to blossom into something.
They bet the shit out of each other earlier on this season. And now they're like, I would watch a spin-off of just them on the island, like an odd couple.
Yeah, there's sort of a begrudging respect between them at this point. Sawyer says he's got an overzealous work ethic. Michael counters with obsession.
He's a man driven.
And then Kate bursts from the bushes and she's like, I need your alcohol. And Sawyer is appropriately freaked out. He barely questions it. We cut to him handing it over. I mean, he clearly has questioned it because Kate's in the middle of talking to him. But she mentions how Locke said that Boone fell off a cliff while they were out hunting boar. And Sawyer voices the skepticism. He says that boar they never seem to catch.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be so much skepticism as to the conditions of what happened to Boone, but the fact that there's, Locke is not telling them everything.
Yeah, something's up for sure. Suspicions are heightened. We go back to the caves. Jack is sewing Boone up. And Boone's like muttering that he's sorry. What do you think that's about?
Not 100% sure.
Could be just delirious, near-death rambling. And the red shirts in the scene and Hurley along with them, a couple more people, are setting up like a nice little operating room around him.
Yeah, and they don't do a bad job, to be
like,
fair.
Where the fuck did they get these? What are these sheets and stuff that they're setting up?
I think we need to ask our friends over at Lost in My 40s. Isn't there like a farm where they grow these tarps and sheets and shit? I think they came up with that hypothesis a while ago.
Are these tarps though? I don't know. Maybe they're supplies from the plane or something.
Gonna be honest, I was too busy looking at Boone instead of the background setting.
Yeah, I did take note of it. And there's a kind of funny thing that happens with it later on. I'll point it out when we get there. But Jack says that Boone needs a blood transfusion. And Son's like, how the fuck are we going to do that? And he says, I'll figure it out after I set the leg. And motherfucking Nurse Son is on this shit, or at least I thought she was. When she says, like, she tells him to go and get some air here. And then I'm like, oh, cool. She's going to set his leg. But it turns out she just kind of preps it for being set, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, she's not going to be carrying out any procedures herself. She's just going to be doing all the prep work so the doctor can rock in, do it, and take all the fame and glory, like a real nurse.
So Jack gets a second to breathe before fucking Charlie rocks up and starts pestering him with all these stupid questions.
Oh, can he just fuck off?
And Jack very appropriately lashes out at him. He's like, Charlie, fucking leave me alone.
Yeah, Jack's patience is low and quite understandably right now.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the tolerance for this bullshit.
Nah. We get another flashback and Ginger Best Man has just finished his speech at a rehearsal dinner.
Oh, is that what it was? A rehearsal dinner?
Yeah, I thought it was their wedding at first, and then I saw what Jack was wearing. He's just wearing like a casual, I mean, it's business casual, but it's just kind of like a tweed jacket and a shirt. And I'm like, okay, this dude has not gotten married today. But his betrothed stands up, ready to make a speech, makes a little comment about the microphone being drunk from Mark Silverman's speech. And it turns out Jack is marrying Claire from Modern Family.
Is that who she is?
Yeah, actress Julie Bowen.
I've never seen Modern Family.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched a whole lot of it myself, but yeah, she would go on to star as Claire in Modern Family. So she takes her turn to do a little rehearsal speech, and she begins to detail this like horrific car accident that she was in. And then it's revealed that Jack was her doctor, and Jack promised to fix her. And she gushes about his like commitment and implies that she can walk because of him. And then she toasts him and says that Jack's her hero. Very sweet.
Really making Jack out to be this exemplary doctor. Like, he's not just a really good doctor. He's an incredible surgeon. He was able to take this woman whose back was broken and heal her in such a way that she could walk again. Like, wow.
Pretty dreamy. So we're back to the island. Son puts a shtick in Boone's mouth for the pain after Jack goes, I think we're beyond herbal remedies.
I thought that was a great little interaction between the two of them. She's like, I brought this for his pain. And she's just holding a fucking stick.
Yeah. He says, we're beyond herbal remedies. She's like, okay, dude, easy on the fucking stereotyping there.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not stereotyping.
Nah,
all she's been doing is herbal remedies.
Yeah, it's sort of Son's thing, right? It's sort of her brand. And yeah, Son has prepped his leg for setting, like we said. Jack gets her to hold his shoulders, Boone's shoulders, that is, not his.
He needs a massage after all that
Yeah.
stress.
Just I need to be held tenderly for a second. Jin's not around. So he sets Boone's leg, he pops it, and Boone screams like hell.
Like he's actually dying, yeah.
Screams bloody fucking murder. And we have a great shot while that's happening of just Hurley outside the sort of tent they've set up. And Hurley is very bothered.
Oh, poor Hurley. I mean, poor Boone, more so than
yeah.
anyone, but I got to feel for Hurley.
So we cut to the jungle. Kate's bombing it through the jungle, back to Jack, and she trips and falls. And she opens the bag. Oh, she barely wants to look in. Some of the bottles have shattered. Not all of them, though.
Not a total loss. There's just a couple of breakages, but not a total loss. We're good.
One or two brown liquids. For some reason, that feels less medical to me than a clear liquid.
Yeah, right?
Imagine,
like you just see a clear liquid and you think it's... I'm sorry, what did you just say?
I was going to say, just imagine pouring whiskey on an open wound. Like, that seems
funny to me. I cut you off after you said pouring and I heard porn. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Go on. She trips, breaks some bottles.
And then she hears a noise from the bushes, sort of a grunting and some rustling. She approaches the noise, and it's Claire.
In distress.
She looks like she's going into fucking labor.
Well, funny that.
Kate goes up to her. She's like, hey, what's up, dog? And Claire's like, no, leave me alone. I'm all good. And Kate knows well what's up. Claire's being really fucking stubborn here. She's trying to deny it, but it's pretty obvious this baby is coming.
That goes to show you just how strong denial is in this girl.
Well, I mean, she thought she could hold out until the fucking boat was done.
Well, I mean, an extra week. I mean, I was 3 weeks overdue.
Were you pregnant?
No. When I was... Fucking idiot. Get on with the scene.
So Claire can't deny it. Kate knows what's up. She starts shouting for help. And we cut back to Jin, who's still fucking working on the boat. And lucky he is, because he hears the shouting, pegs it through the jungle, and he catches up to the ladies. And Kate's really relieved. She tells him to go and get Jack for some reason, because Kate knows it better than anyone that Jack's a bit fucking preoccupied right now.
Can I just quickly interject here? This show is really good at keeping the geography of the island so ambiguous.
Yeah, right?
Like, I mean, there's essentially 3 main locations with a couple of outliers, like the ravine with the bridge and fucking French lady. What's her name? Rousseau's base camp and all that shit. There's 3 main locations. There's beach, caves, and then indeterminate jungle space between them.
Yeah, somehow Jin, who's up the beach, heard them shouting, even though Kate would have been going. I don't know.
No, with the crashing of the waves and shit, if there was someone standing like down the beach shouting at you, you wouldn't hear them. She was shouting through trees.
Can we call that a goof?
No, because if she was like really close, he may have heard her, but
it's artistic license, I guess.
Sure.
And it does sort of lead to there's a small reason why the writers chose Jin to be the one to answer the call.
Seriously though, if you were Kate and Jin showed up, you'd be like, oh fuck, literally anyone else.
She does attempt to communicate, and she tells Jin to go and get Jack. And Jin understands, and he says, doctor. And his first English word.
No, I'm pretty sure he said an English word here or there.
Do you know what? It was boat, wasn't it?
Boat. Yeah.
And then Jin's fucking on it. He takes the bag that Claire gives him and he fucks off. And Claire tells Kate not to leave her, and she promises not to. And I think it's a good thing that they got Jin on this case, because we know that motherfucker is a workhorse.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's gonna get the job done. He'll be back to that boat by sundown. Like, so we're back to the caves. Jack has son asking Boone his blood type, trying to communicate to him. Ado, do you know your blood type?
Not a clue.
I don't know either. I had this conversation with a friend recently. Shout out to John. A couple of months ago, he ended up putting it on his Instagram story, like a poll, because I didn't know my blood type and he knew his. And I was like, I'm pretty sure most people don't know their blood type, because he expressed disbelief I didn't know mine. And he polled it, and I was right. Most people don't know. But I had a horrifying experience that day, because who's going to know my blood type? Obviously my mammy, right?
Of course. If anyone's going to know it.
Yeah. So I texted my ma and asked her, and she didn't fucking know.
Oh, hang on. I need to text my mother immediately.
That's what phones have done to our parents, man. They're not remembering the key little facts about their children that they used to.
Hold on. Sending a text to her now. Random question. Do you know my blood type? Sent.
Keep us posted.
Right. We will find out later in this episode, hopefully. I know for a fact that my dad is a universal donor.
Oh, negative? Is that right?
I don't know.
It's said later on in this episode, but I don't remember.
Yeah, they do say O negative is a universal donor later in this episode, but I'm not sure if it's the only one. It could be. I know very little about this, but any time there's an opportunity for my dad to give blood, he always does.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I don't know my blood type. My ma doesn't know my blood type. How do I find out my blood type?
Ooh. I would assume go to a doctor, they take a blood sample, send it off for tests.
I'm wondering, is that a waste of a doctor's time to just go to check my blood type? Like maybe I can, maybe if I go to a blood donation center, I can donate blood and get them to check it while they're at it.
Tough question. I don't know. I would imagine so, but I feel like it's a waste of their time. It's information you should already be going to them with.
Now, having said that, I'm pretty certain that you and I are not allowed to give blood outside of Ireland and the UK.
Why is that?
Because I think I ran into this roadblock when I tried to give blood in Canada, and I'm nearly certain it's the same in the country I'm in now. But we were alive in Ireland and or the UK in the early 90s when there was an outbreak of mad cow disease.
Fuck. That's a thing.
Now, I might have my information wrong there, but I'm pretty sure I ran into that roadblock in Canada when I tried to give blood.
Interesting. Also, I have an update from my mother.
Oh, do tell.
She hasn't a clue.
What is happening?
No idea, man.
As we're supposed to know everything.
She could tell you the amount of hairs on my head, or at least I would have presumed so previously. Actually, here's a question now to instill some existential dread. Do you know where your birth cert is?
Well, I would have assumed my ma had it, but now I don't know what to believe if she doesn't know my blood type.
Now, have a think about that tonight when you're trying to sleep.
Damn. Well, hey, if you are a physician that's treated Ado and I in the past and you know our blood type, write to us, losttheplotlads@gmail.com.
Do you know who'd be able to find out our blood type? Ryan, feel free to write in again. If anyone can get to the bottom of this.
Don't do that. You know his dedication to that job. He's going to try and get a fucking blood sample from me.
We're going to find out about him getting arrested trying to break into a doctor's office here.
So Jack's trying to like pierce his finger with sort of anything he can get his hands on. No pun intended. But he can't really find anything sharp enough. And he gets all pissy with Sun when she tries to help. Like, I know Jack is under a lot of stress here. I understand that. But I feel like a doctor should probably have a cooler head.
This guy is under a lot of stress. He's got someone literally dying here. It's all on him to save his life. He doesn't know if he can. People are hassling him for answers. He's human.
I guess it's different in an actual OR, right? I'm sure his stress management's a lot better there. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Jack. He also describes a vein like a wet noodle, which I don't think I knew.
That is a really vivid description.
It's pretty gross, but helpful. Like, I wasn't aware that they sort of are that malleable, fluid almost.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, right?
I thought they just kind of stayed where they were.
Well, I mean, if they weren't very malleable, you wouldn't really be able to bend your arms or wrists, right?
Yeah, no, I guess so. But then we have our first bit of luck here, first bit of luck in a while, because Boone manages to splutter out his blood type. He says he's A negative before mumbling away about Shannon. But Jack and Son heard it. They got crucial information. Jack instructs Son to enlist Charlie's help, and they might as well pronounce Boone dead right there.
Well, I mean, of all the people who know their blood type, isn't it lucky that the guy who's literally dying here in front of them, he does?
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like it is consistent with Boone's character somehow. He seems like a kind of, I don't know, like a sporty type. Like, I picture him as a hobbyist scuba diver. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see it.
But yeah, I feel like it tracks for his character to know his blood type. I feel it's believable enough.
Also, am I right in saying, and forgive me if this is a little bit spoilery, but Boone revealing that he's A negative, that turns out to be completely pointless. That information serves no purpose.
I guess if I was being charitable, you could say that it sort of adds to the narrative pendulum swing of like, oh, okay, this is a positive. Oh, and we got another setback. Oh, okay, maybe this. No, we're fucked again. You know, it adds to the tension of the entire sort of medical drama of this episode.
All right, fine, I'll take it.
So Jack tells Son to find someone with A blood and also to find Shannon.
Yeah, we need to find out where the fuck Shannon is in all this.
Yeah, where is Shannon? We cut to her, and she's with Saeed, and they're walking through some trees. He's like leading her somewhere. He's talking about like trees that look familiar and stuff. So he's got a plan in mind. And I found out this week, I didn't verify this. Maybe I should have in my research. But I saw in a lost group on Facebook that Naveen Andrews, the actor who plays Saeed, originally suggested the Saeed Shannon relationship to the writers because he felt it would be unexpected.
It certainly was unexpected. He just wanted to drop the hand with Maggie Grace. That's all.
I was going to say, dude just wanted to shift a blonde white lady. So Saeed and Shannon eventually emerge on this quiet beach where Saeed set up like a little romantic survivor set. It's complete with tiki torches, a blanket, flowers, mangoes, and a couple of water bottles.
Oh, he is showing off. This is peacocking at its finest. Imagine he let her out onto the beach and the tide had come in.
He goes into the water. He's like, dude, I'm trying to smash here. Come on. Back to our little makeshift OR, and Jack is getting annoyed at some leaves when Charlie shows up.
Wait, what? He's getting annoyed at leaves?
Yeah, he like angrily throws down this branch. I assume because he was trying to find like something to prick his finger with.
Okay.
And nothing would do, but it's just funny. Charlie shows up with a bunch of useless information, including 1A blood type, though he's not sure whether it's positive or negative. Charlie says most people, including him, don't know their blood type, which fair. I don't know my bloody blood type. Sun shows up as well, and she's got this big spiky thing, which I am going to call a porcupine.
I was going to call it an urchin, but okay.
yeah, I guess it's an urchin. Porcupine. If Pokemon haven't already taken that, I'm trademarking that. But she suggests that Jack can use one of the quills, I guess you call it, as a hollow needle. And Jack says it's perfect. I bet he feels bad about snapping at her now.
I wonder if it actually is perfect or if he's just like, yeah, this will do. Just wants to give her a pat in the back.
He does seem genuinely like relieved almost. So I think she might have nailed it. So Jack goes on to say that he's Oneg. Didn't know he had any Irish in him. And that is the universal donor.
Oneg?
Yeah. Paddy Oneg.
Is that a name?
No, he says Oneg. And I'm like, that sounds like an Irish name.
About as much as Obama.
So they're like, oh, negative. Will that work? Jack says it's close enough, but he does note the risks. The Boone could go into anaphylactic shock, which may cause his heart to stop. Nothing too serious.
Yeah, although it is kind of the opposite of what he's going for.
Yeah. And then Jack insists that he's not going to die. And everyone's thinking, well, you kind of just laid out a pretty good reason why he might.
Based on what you just said, doubt.
We get a flashback, and Jack is playing some lovely piano. And again, what can't this cunt do? He's good at everything.
Except saving Boone's life? I don't know. I thought I had something funny there. I do not. I'm not a funny guy.
Except being the first on the island to kiss Cade.
Hey!
So his fiance shows up, and they banter about some girls checking him out. And then they play Heart and Soul together on the piano. My ma and her sister used to always play this on piano together. Is this like a thing?
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, my mom doesn't play piano. She just, and neither does her sister, to my knowledge. I think this is like, it's such a simple piece to play, though, that it's quite commonly played by two people as well.
Yeah, it starts off really simple, but it turns into a quite complex tune, like if you actually continue it.
Do you know the composer? Probably should look that up.
I do not know the composer, but it doesn't sound that old. It just sounds kind of, hang on.
Let's just say it was Eddie Vedder.
Han Solo.
Yeah. So we learned that Jack's fiance's name is Sarah, and they discuss something that's related to their vows, and she says he doesn't have to do it. I was a little confused by this, whether they were just implying or actually saying. Anyway, we learn later on that it's just that they've agreed to write their own vows, which I would have assumed was pretty common, no?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more common to the point where people who opt to go with traditional vows are seen as lazy.
Ado, you got married before.
Yes, I did.
Did you write your own vows?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yep.
Anywho, they're writing their own vows. We also learned that Jack is nervous about his dad even showing up to the wedding. And there's an interesting parallel here between Jack and Locke. Did you notice this?
Yeah, I mean, I was just reminded of it, wanting dad's approval and all that shit.
Yeah, well, the parallel I saw is that Jack also doesn't give a fuck about his ma.
I presume that's the woman we see get out of the car.
It's not.
Right?
It's not. It's at least it's not the same actress that played his mother in White Rabbit.
Oh, you're right.
That, as far as I can tell, is just some random lady.
Oh, okay.
And there's nothing that implies that Jack's mother is present at the wedding.
Yeah, a bit odd, right?
So Sarah says she can't wait to marry you, Jack Shepherd. And she fucks off. Jack's left alone with his thoughts. We cut back to the caves. Jin is shouting Jack in Hurley's face. That's kind of how we come out of this flashback. Like, Jack, Jack, Jack. And then
it actually takes Hurley a second of taking this screaming in his face. And he's just like, oh, Jack, over there.
Yeah. But then Hurley points him towards this newly constructed operating room. And I'm like, where the fuck else would Jack be? Why did Jin need to ask? Didn't notice it on his way in. Like, oh, there's a fucking OR there now.
Jin's just panicking. He's not thinking straight.
Yeah. So Jin bursts in, and the first person he makes eye contact with is Sun. Awkward. I felt like Sun here in this moment where it seems like for a split second she had almost forgotten what the crack was between them, and so did I. I was like, oh shit, yeah, they're on the outs right now. And Jack is there, he's strapping himself up for the blood transfusion. Jin starts rapidly talking, and Sun takes her sweet time translating.
But do you know what? I love the way the writers orchestrated this, because this is the right thing to bring Jin and Sun back together, not necessarily together as, a happy functioning couple again, but there was such a distance between them that this now forces them to be in the same room as each other,
I agree. It's a fantastic use of both of their positions in the survivor group. Like, it's an emergency. Jin would not be talking to Sun otherwise, but he basically needs her to translate in this moment. And yeah, it's got to plant some seeds in his head.
He's got all the information. She's got the language. They need to work together.
Yeah, really nice little bit of writing here. So Jin mentions that Claire's in labor, and Charlie might as well smother Boone with a pillow right there because he forgets all about him. He's like, well, we have to go. And then there's some rapid fire dramatic translation going on here. Sun gets her shit together. It's a really, I don't know, just the way they do it in this scene is really good as well. It's really well directed.
Yeah.
And Jack gives Charlie instructions on how to get Kate to deliver the baby. Good move.
I mean, some good instructions here. I'm going to take these instructions with me in the event I'm ever in a position where I have to deliver a baby.
Absolutely.
I don't know how medically accurate it is, but using it. Stand back. I've seen Lost.
I just think it's funny how Jack goes, all right, this is how you deliver a baby. First, you tell Kate to do it. Good move, Jack. So we cut to Claire again, and night has fallen. Some time's passed, and she seems okay. The contractions have stopped.
Yeah, but even Kate knows. She says something like, I think you should sit down. Like, I think this happens.
Now, in Claire's defense, it did happen to her last time. Do you remember the episode where she got kidnapped by Ethan? She thought she was going into labor for a sec. But then her water breaks, which is the universal and undeniable TV symbol for this shit's happening.
Yeah, but in real life, no. Once the water breaks, you've still got time. Like, theoretically, as long as you don't live too far from a hospital, once your water's broken, you could fucking drive to the hospital. Like, you're fine for at least a little while. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong.
Having said that, it definitely means it's not a false alarm. She is in labor. And Claire, there's a really nice little emotional performance from Emily DeRaven here. Claire just sort of pleads with Kate. She says, I'm not ready. She admits it. She's scared. She's not ready. Kate assures her that Jack is coming. Again, why?
Oh, dear.
We cut back to Jack. Boone starts talking. He's mumbling away. He's a lot more lucid than he was. I guess the blood is helping somewhat.
Yeah.
And he says a plane fell on him.
Yeah, Jack can just take that piece of information and just play it off as random ramblings of a delirious man. But Boone kind of shows cognizance of how fucked up he is by saying he's all kinds of messed up. Like, he recognizes how fucked up he is.
He mumbles something about a hatch that they found. And then he says the words, John said not to tell.
About the hatch.
And Jack, this piques his interest.
Yeah, Jack needs to find out more, but then Boone just starts whispering Shannon's name essentially, and Jack's like, "Oh well, I'm not going to get any more useless info out of this fucker."
Speaking of Shannon, we cut back to her dick appointment, and they're shifting away, her and Saeed. And Shannon decides to tell Saeed that Boone is her stepbrother, but that he's still in love with her, which I guess she's hoping to give Saeed the horn or something. I don't know.
Or trying to open up the conversation to possibly a threesome. That is where my mind was going.
But then Shannon jinxes Boone to death by talking about how long they'll all be there. We're going to be here for a long time. Me, you, Boone. Damn, Boone will outlive us all, she might as well say.
Yeah. She says, like, her exact words are, "We're here for God knows how long, and so is Boone." And I'm like, well,
God does know how long. And so do we. We must be God.
Well, we're fairly omniscient with regards to the events of this show.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we know everything. Ish.
So she tells Saeed that she wants to take it slow. And Saeed agrees. And he says he had no expectations. And then Shannon gives him the, "Oh, really? Look." And he says he had hopes, no expectations.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I love his honesty there. That's a good one.
Yeah, this is just Shannon's way of telling them, you ain't getting any pussy, dude.
Yeah, she's on the rag.
Oh, no. That would be terrible.
And I was wondering, like, did the writers include her asking to take things slow just so that she wouldn't be dicking down while her brother was dying?
Oh.
Maybe they thought that would be a step too far.
Yeah, because if she didn't include that line, there's definitely the assumption. Like, if you cut that conversation and you see them walking back from the beach, holding hands and shit, you would assume, they got laid.
We're back with Claire, and she's in trouble. She's not having a good time. Charlie and Jin show up, and they break the news that Jack can't come. Charlie tells Kate that she has to deliver the baby. And Kate says she can't. But Charlie says, "You can, because I've got water." Towels. He's, you should have said something there, Charlie. And we got our boy Jin over here, and he is comforting Claire, and he just gives her the loveliest smile. He's just got, I've talked about how attractive I find DDL before. He gives a very nice, friendly smile here.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah, what a lovely man. And Claire's worried that her kidnappers did something to the baby.
To the baby.
She says she's not ready and that she's very, very scared.
Yeah, so did you pick up on what Jin says to Claire?
No, actually, I forgot. Yeah, you do the translations usually. Please enlighten me.
Yeah, so he says, "Ole, Gyoliji." No, okay. Okay.
Ole.
Really, really bad Korean pronunciation. But in English, he says, "It won't take long. Take it easy."
Oh, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, just doing some reassurance.
So Kate sort of slithers up beside Claire and says that she's scared too, but that they're going to get through it together.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, I don't think. It's like Claire says, "I'm scared." And Kate says, "Well, fuck, I'm scared too. Like, what do you want from me here?"
We're back in the caves again. Boone is in a bad way, and Jack is fucking like lurching around him like a zombie or something. Like, he doesn't look good. He looks like he can barely walk properly.
Yeah. I'd say Jack's lost a lot of blood at this point. He's just pouring it into him.
But Boone does not. He looks worse for wear. And Sun shows up and she reads the room aloud. She says the blood transfusion is not working. But Jack counters. He says the blood's not the problem. The leg is the problem. That Boone has something he calls compartment syndrome, where all the blood is pooling in his leg. And we get this really graphic shot of the swollen leg. It looks fucking gross.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of compartment syndrome.
We've all been there.
Yeah, that shit's killing them.
Yeah, it looks bad. So Jack posits that he didn't get this leg injury from a fall, that his leg was crushed. And Sun rips the IV from Jack's arm, and she tells him he's given enough blood. And Jack looks dizzy as fuck, and like he's got bags under the eyes. And Hurley says, "Dude, you okay? You're looking kind of goth."
Trust Hurley to inject a bit of humor.
They gotta get a Hurleyism in here. And Jack asks Hurley to go get Michael.
Now, did you pick up on the music here?
I don't think so.
So Something I'm really sensitive to is the use of music in Lost. When Sun realizes the inevitable and rips the tube from Jack and says, it's not working and all this shit, Jack decides, what is it? She tells him he needs to get some air, so he walks out.
She says she's given Boone enough.
Yeah, so that's when Jack stomps out. But during that scene, we actually hear a kind of prelude, I suppose, to the life and death theme.
Right.
We hear a little bit of it. It's as if, okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, the life and death theme music, as it's titled, Life and Death, generally plays when someone dies.
It's a well-known piece of music by the end of Lost. Because a lot of people die.
Unfortunately, not to spoil anything, but the possibility that Boone is actually going to die seems to be entering Jack's mind. But then it's gone away with really quickly when he goes up to Hurley and tells him to go and get Michael. But also, when Jack says that this wasn't from a fall, it was from his leg being crushed, he's working it out. He's pulling on the string in his own head. Something's not right here, but he hasn't time to focus on it and figure out that mystery. He's got to try and save Boone. So it's beginning.
So what do you think that symbolizes? The sort of tease of life and death? Like, do you think it's Boone slipping away?
I think it's Jack contemplating that he may not actually be able to save Boone.
Oh yeah, that's a great read.
But he pushes it out of his mind because Jack, again, as we learn, does not let go of this shit. He's a dog with a bone at this stage with saving Boone.
Well, that's illustrated clearly in this next flashback that we cut to. Jack is drinking by the pool and Christian shows up.
Yay!
Jack looks really happy to see him. Christian takes off the shoes and socks, dips the puppies in the pool beside him. And Jack's drinking like straight from a bottle of fucking vodka or something.
He's fucking hammered.
Yeah. Christian has a swig and Jack is writing his vows, or so we think. Christian reads them aloud and he's like, these are pretty good. And Jack reveals they're actually Sarah's vows. I nicked them.
I love the way Christian says it. He reads them out loud a little bit and then he just goes, they're nice. Like, yeah, acceptable. But yeah, these are kind of shit.
But Jack is struggling to write his own. Maybe he's not good at everything after all. And there's two lines here delivered by the two of them. Christian goes, Sarah is a beautiful girl. And Jack goes, hell yeah, she is. And the delivery is they sound like two closeted gay men trying to convince one another that they're straight. I just thought it was a really bad delivery. Like, neither of them believed those lines.
Is this setting up Christian sleeping with her? Is that a plot line I'm imagining, or does that happen?
Oh dear, I think you might be inventing that, but holy shit, if you're right, I'm really glad I don't remember that happening.
So much for that omniscient fucking remark earlier. I don't remember a shit from this show.
So Christian asks Jack if he loves her, to which he replies, absolutely. And in turn, Christian asks him, why are you sitting out here? He's implying you got to go write your vows. And God damn it, this motherfucker is trying to hog the full bottle again. Just like he did with Sawyer.
Yep.
Do you remember when he met Sawyer? He gave him the exact same line. He's like, well, what are you doing in here then? And Sawyer...
Well, no, this is what Christian does. This is his role as a character in the show. He's guiding people towards their destiny. It's his last name, Shepherd.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, I guess. But he's definitely hogging those bottles, right?
Well, he is an alcoholic. I mean,
he's guiding people, but he's also an alky. Anyway, Jack doesn't take the hint and he sticks around and he asks, what if I only asked her to marry me because I saved her life? And Christian poo-poos that. He's like, commitment is what makes you tick, but that you're not good at letting go.
Yeah, I mean, that can be taken in a couple of different ways. The way I read it was, that's Christian's way of saying,
go away and leave me the bottle. No, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm glad you are about to say this because I have written in my notes, what's he referring to? Like, this illustrates the island storyline pretty well, but I'm not really sure what this illustrates about Sarah and the marriage when he says commitment makes you tick, but you're not good at letting go. What do you think he means by that?
Well, instead of being with his fiance, he's all the way out here at a pool trying to write vows that he just hasn't been able to bring himself to write in so long. So when Jack says, should he marry her? This is Christian's way of saying, maybe not, dude. Maybe it is time to let go of this.
Oh, you think so?
That was the way I read it.
Interesting. I didn't really like that at all, but I don't disagree with you now that you've said it.
Like, commitment is what makes him tick. And he's been committed to this woman for so fucking long. But all of a sudden, here he is, not with her, struggling to write vows. You know, maybe it is time for him to let go of this shit.
But then I would have thought that sort of contradicts him saying that commitment makes Jack tick. Jack said, what if I'm only marrying her because I saved her life? And I thought him saying commitment is what makes you tick was sort of like, don't be silly. You are into this.
I don't think so. I think my reading of it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because the letting go part made no sense to me then.
Yeah, but not only that, skip ahead to the actual wedding scene. We get a fake out as if Christian's words actually had like that much of an impact.
Yeah, you know what? Okay. Yeah. Sold. Yeah, you've convinced me.
Boom.
The defense rests. We go back to the island and Michael's gotten to the caves. They're sort of discussing Locke's lies with Jack, and they're next to this cargo container that seemingly appeared out of nowhere. Have we seen this before?
It's a giant bread bin.
That's exactly it. It looks like a bread bin. But it's made of metal, and Jack is sort of like sizing it up, and he's like feeling the underside of the sliding door. And Sun comes out of the OR, and she's like sort of like, oh, what are you guys doing? And then she realizes Jack's sort of looking at the trajectory of the door. This motherfucker's planning to amputate Boone's leg.
He's planning to turn Boone into a pirate. Yar!
They test it on a stick, and it fucking cleaves through it like butter.
Yeah, no problem. So that'll work well on a leg.
Yeah. Sun is horrified because it is a rough fucking way to do an amputation, to be fair.
Sun kind of raises the obvious question here of why not use an axe? Or Michael asks it, I think. And Jack just says, can't use an axe.
I guess because this would be cleaner.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, with an axe, you are not necessarily going to get that with just one swing. Yeah. And this is the kind of thing you want to do with one swing. But here's a question I want to ask, right? And maybe we see it later on. I'm not sure. Above or below the joint?
Ooh, like the knee?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's significantly more difficult above, right?
I would imagine so. It's the femur. It's the largest bone in the body.
Yeah, and it's just meaty thighs as well. I would have said just below the knee.
Yeah, I would guess so. Definitely.
We cut back to the delivery jungle where Kate is instructing Claire to push. And Claire looks like, and in fact is, trying to suck the baby back up into her body. And Kate says she can't, but Kate doesn't know what we do about her trip to the jungle with Ethan and Charlie.
Claire is doing the ultimate Kegels challenge right here.
Yeah, she's trying not to let this thing happen. And then more great acting from Emily de Raven here. She starts sort of crying and saying that she knows, that the baby's going to know that she didn't want it. And Kate has a really good bedside manner, I thought. She's really, really good at talking her down, at keeping her calm, at just being gently encouraging. And eventually she manages to convince her. And Claire starts pushing with these strained screams.
And I gotta say, there is some phenomenal acting going on between the pair of them here. Like, not just Emily, but...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the baby between the pair of her fanny lips. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. The two of them are amazing. Yeah, Claire has these strange screams, and Charlie is bothered by them. Him and Jin are sort of sitting on a log away from, just out of view. And Charlie starts forward to help, but Jin stops him, and he gives him the sort of universal look of, let her go, cowboy. Ain't nothing you can do now. Sort of like shakes his head.
Yeah, Jin's just like, no, we ain't got a place in this. Just let it happen, dude.
And then we cut back to the caves again. I feel like I've said we cut back to the caves many times in this episode, but we do cut back to them a lot. And Boone's coughing up blood and just having a generally bad time. And Jack and Michael lift him onto a stretcher. And Sun is like, Jack, lad, you're taking the piss at this stage. Like, you cannot save him. Let this motherfucker die. And Matthew Fox fills in for Terry O'Quinn's notable absence in this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, this bit.
He uses Locke's catchphrase. Sun says you can't save him. And Jack screams, don't tell me what I can't do.
I was expecting everyone to just stop right there and Jack shrug his shoulders and say, I was trying it out.
So the boys set Boone up under the cargo container. Jack's like to Mike, you don't have to, you can turn away. But Mike's all in. He wants to see some gore. And Sun stares Jack out of it. She stares at him like a fucking angel of death which is kind of what she is because she's telling him to let him die.
Yeah.
And then she turns away in disgust, I would say. And Jack prepares the guillotine door, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better word for it. It is a guillotine.
We get a flashback. He decides to ponder his wedding before he amputates this leg. And
I like to imagine that every time he has a flashback, he just stops what he's doing and just kind of looks up at an angle the way JD does in Scrubs.
Yeah. Michael's like, Jack man, clicking in his face. You there? Stay with me, buddy. Even Boone's like, the fuck is going on with this dude?
If only there was a voiceover from each character every time there was a flashback. And I took the time to wonder about my wedding day.
I didn't know it at the time, but that day I was never going to be the same again. So Sarah and Jack are getting married in Hawaii, it looks like. I know they filmed this in Hawaii.
Why is the thought of absolutely hobbling Boone inspiring a flashback of his wedding day?
I don't know how your marriage was, but...
Ooh.
So Sarah finishes her vows and Jack looks kind of distracted. And yeah, I don't know if I picked up on this, but like you said, I think it is supposed to be a little misdirect, a little fake out. And he pauses for a long fucking time, like long enough for the officiant to go like, dude, come on. And he's looking pretty distracted. And then he admits that he didn't do his homework.
But pay attention to the acting that Matthew Fox gives here. Like, he's got a pained expression in his look. He's shaking his head as he's talking to her. He can't maintain the eye contact. He looks as though he's about to break into tears. This is 100% meant to try and convince us he's going to walk away.
Yeah, you're right. And I did think about it. I couldn't really remember, to be honest. I couldn't remember whether he goes through with the marriage or not. So I did think like, oh shit, is this motherfucker about to leave her at the altar?
And even look at the look on Sarah's face. She's looking at him. Her expression is falling and she's suddenly coming to like this realization of, wait, is this motherfucker going to leave me at the wedding?
The actress Julie Bowen was like, man, I hope I get that Modern Family job because this cunt doesn't marry me. I'm out of work. But then he improvises his vows and he fucking knocks it out of the park. And god damn it, that motherfucker is good at everything. Son of a bitch.
That one line he gives.
He says that he didn't fix her. She fixed him. And they kiss. It's a beautiful moment. We cut back to the caves. Jack's about to treat Boone's leg like French royalty when Boone himself chimes in and he tells him to stop. And Boone says what we're all thinking. He said there's no chance he's going to live because they're on a goddamn desert island.
Yeah, like chopping off his leg is just needless and cruel at this point.
Absolutely.
There's no way he would be able to fight off an infection. They do not have the equipment or the drugs for any of this shit. Jack is just so distracted with his own determination.
If he couldn't save Eddie Mars, he's not going to be able to save a fucking amputee.
Yeah.
Boone's been through enough, to be fair. Like we said, he has a rough fucking go of it in this episode. This is not an easy death. But Boone lets Jack off the hook for the promise that he made. Jack tells him he's sorry. Boone says, don't be. Pretty emotional moment.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
We cut back to Claire, who's also in a world of pain. And she's trying like hell. She's pushing. We got everybody encouraging her. And she fucking does it. She has a little baby boy. This little cute little newborn potato. He's adorable.
Now, there's only one thing about this scene I want to mention. As soon as that baby's born and it starts crying, which I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting it to start crying. I thought they'd make a little bit of extra drama temporarily with that, but no, I'm glad they didn't.
Didn't they kind of, though? For a second, there was no crying?
Nah, not really. No one paid any attention to it. That baby was out of her V like 3 seconds, and then it was like... But Jin turns to Charlie to shake his hand.
Ah, so cute.
Do you think Jin assumes that Charlie's the dad? That is what I'm getting here, because he wouldn't know any different.
Yeah.
They were on the same plane. They've been, buddy with each other this whole time.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, he's just like, yeah, 2 white people. Yeah, why not?
They're similar age, buddy with each
other. Yeah, that's a great point.
But Charlie just ignores the handshake and just gives him a big hug.
Yeah, it's very wholesome. And can I just point out that wholesome in all this moment is Charlie did fuck up, because Jack specifically told him to instruct Kate to clear the baby's mouth and nose, and Kate totally didn't do that.
Yeah, but that's only to get it to cry, to clear the airwaves. But that, or the airways.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. to stop it from choking on its own amniotic fluid and shit like that.
Yeah,
But
I was
no.
gonna say, I thought that was, I assumed there could be like mucus or whatever stuck in the baby's throat,
Yeah, very possibly. It can 100% happen.
but it wouldn't be able to cry if that was the case, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that.
It's kind of like if someone ever tells you they're choking. If someone can get the words out that they're choking, they're not choking.
Yeah.
They're having difficulty breathing, their airways obstructed, but not fully. If someone can make sounds with their voice, they are not choking. So this baby comes out screaming. He's fine.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, Jin goes to shake his hand. Charlie gives him a big hug. Wholesome as hell. The baby's cute as fuck. We're back in the caves. Jack lays Boone back in the operating room, and Boone tells him to tell Shannon, tell her, but then he's cut off by dying.
He says, tell her and then he dies.
Tell her
I think it's fairly obvious what he was going to say.
Oh, what do you think? Tell her I love her?
Tell her I like to wear her underwear.
Tell her I have herpes.
Playing the long game to get revenge on Saeed.
Yeah, so Boone has passed away. We got our first character death, first major character.
And that is when we hear life and death in all its glory.
Yeah, our first, we had a sort of synth version of it, if you remember. I think it was in White Rabbit, actually. I could be wrong about that. But we had an interesting synthy version of it. But this is the life and death that we come to know and love. Just one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever composed.
And my God, it still got me in this episode when I watched it.
So this music is played over a sort of montage. I mean, a montage applies lots of different scenes. There's kind of only two things going on. We cut to the baby being greeted by fucking everyone on the beach. I mean, it must have been a beach day. I thought half these people were in the caves.
Yeah, Hurley's there and everything.
Yeah. Life and Death, obviously, it should be noted as an appropriate title for this scene because Claire gave life to the baby, who's going to be called Aaron. I think we can just refer to him as Aaron now.
Yeah.
And Death, the death of Boone, of course. And everyone's fucking delighted to see the baby. Everyone's so happy. Why would you not be? Babies are just pleasant to be around. And then in the background, Shannon and Saeed show up.
Oh, dear.
And Kate points at them. Jack sort of gives us, there's no dialogue here. It's all silent with the music over it. No sound other than the music, I should say. And Jack approaches Shannon and Saeed, and we get this heartbreaking wide shot. Well, first of all, we get these shots of Jack sort of looking like he's preparing to tell them something. He doesn't really know how to say it. And then we get this sort of wide shot from behind Jack, and Shannon just sort of takes a few steps back in disbelief.
Yeah, she's just in a bit of shock, really. But when Claire's baby, little Aaron, is brought onto the beach and everyone gathers around, right? Someone is conspicuously absent. Very conspicuously absent.
Oh, hold on. Let me think about it. Is it Charlie?
No, it's not Charlie.
Is it Jin?
Actually, do you know what? I'm thinking of two people.
Go on, do tell. Well, Locke, obviously.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Nikki and Paolo.
My man.
Anyway, sorry, do go on.
So Jack's just broken the news to Shannon. We cut to more shots of the baby and Claire's rubbing its life in Shannon's face.
Oh, dear.
And then we cut to Shannon in the caves looking at Boone's dead body, and she just breaks down in tears.
Yeah.
Devastating performance by Maggie Grace. And the whole thing is just incredibly emotional.
Oh, she's so good here. So good.
Our musical sequence ends. Musical sequence. They're all singing and dancing. Oh, Boone is dead. Now our musical montage ends. And Jack is on the beach. The dude looks tired as fuck. And he's sort of fiddling around with a backpack. Kate sits down beside him.
I had to go back throughout the whole episode because I noticed something in this scene of Jack loading up his backpack and Kate coming over to him. I noticed something and it made me think, shit, is that present throughout the entire episode? And it was the key around Jack's neck.
Yeah, I think it's been there, right?
Yeah, it's been there the whole time, and I never noticed it until this episode. And just knowing that little bit of continuity, oh, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the key for the gun case, in case you forget. But yeah, Kate shows up to him. Kate's empathy levels are through the roof in this episode. She's great. She sits down beside him and she asks him if he wants to talk about it. And he's like, talk about what? Typical man.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, dude, Boone's death. Like, you can talk about it. And Jack says Boone didn't die. And for a second, we're like, oh, he's lost his marbles. And then he says, nah, he was murdered. He stands up. He throws the backpack over himself, starts walking. It says he's going to go find John Locke. Lost.
End of episode.
Yeah, the music, the tension in the music really ratchets up, I should say, at the end there. It's worlds apart from the gentle, sad music it just was. I can't help but think at the end of the episode, we're fucking entering the end game here, boy.
Yeah, of season 1.
We got our first character death in Boone, Mr. Five himself.
Well, main character death. We've had Eddie Mars. We've had
yeah, of course. Yeah,
dude sucked into turbine.
Major character death. Named member of the survivors.
Steve. Or was it Scott?
Gone and somewhat forgotten.
Man, I'm not even playing that as a joke. I forget who it was who died.
I don't fully. I think I remember, but now I'm doubting myself. But yeah, that's the nature of their characters, right? That's the joke.
Yeah.
Let's do a little postmortem on Boone's character here. Do you have any thoughts?
He was a good driving vehicle for a lot of drama and tension in the show. I mean, he was mostly a sidekick to Locke during his obsession with the mystery of the island, the hatch, and following that plane that he had in his little vision and all that shit. Like, Boone didn't serve any great plot himself, but he was instrumental in other people's plots, namely Shannon and Locke's, right?
Yeah, I think he did have his own arc that they wrapped up quite quickly and neatly. So his arc was sort of his obsession and almost reliance on Shannon, his need to be her guardian angel. And we had Boone's focus episode where he learned to sort of let go. And once he completed his arc, the writing was on the wall then. Like, he pretty much existed as a casualty of Locke's arc after that. He needed to die, I don't know, to create this upcoming conflict and tension between Jack and Locke.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, did you like Boone as a character?
I'm going to be honest. I never had any strong feelings towards Boone as a character.
I mean, if anyone was going to be the first main character to die, it was going to be him, I think. Having said that, now, I don't think it was quite a Game of Thrones level shocking death, but it did kind of set it up that not everyone is necessarily safe. These characters, no matter how main cast they are, these people are going to die, some of them. It's not just going to be red shirts. It's not just going to be Scott and Steve. It's not just going to be, Ethan, others.
There is that momentary shock at a main character's death, and it's not even in the finale, right? We're like 4 or 5 episodes away from the end. But then you suddenly remember the fucking rake of main characters that there are. Yeah, 1 or 2 of these have to be expendable.
We have to thin the herd a little bit. What did you think of the episode?
I thought it was a great fucking episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, especially the way they tied in the B plot with the A plot and Jack's inability to let go. And he finally learns to do that with Boone. Like, instead of, needlessly torturing the fucking dude in the vain attempt to save his life, he does come to the realization that no, he needs to just let this go, give up.
I agree with you. I love this episode. I would say that, and this does happen with lost flashbacks sometimes. Maybe it's not a hugely offensive thing, but I feel like the flashbacks wouldn't work super well on their own. They really did exist just to sort of flesh out the story on the island for Jack.
Now, where do these flashbacks take place chronologically?
Well, it's got to be, I guess these are the earliest because Jack and Christian have not had a falling out yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Because after they have a falling out and Christian leaves, Jack never sees him again alive.
True. Also, we've got to assume that at some point Jack's going to get divorced, right? Because he's not married when he gets on the plane.
Oh, absolutely spot on. Yeah, spot on.
So other than the flashback of him as a child, these are the earliest Jack flashbacks we've seen so far.
Sounds about right.
All right, Edo. I got, it's not like the longest trivia section, but I feel like I have a nice trivia section for us today. You ready to get into this?
I am ready.
Let's do some motherfucking trivia. So, like we said, first major character death in this episode, Ian Somerhalder, who, by the way, whatever about his character, his performance as Boo was fantastic. This dude's a great actor.
Phenomenal.
According to the executive producers, he took the news of his character's death very professionally, but Ian Somerhalder himself said that he found it pretty devastating, that he was quite upset that they were killing his character off.
Understandably so.
Yeah. Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse stated that it made sense from a writing perspective to kill him off to fuel the rivalry between Jack and Locke in the lead up to the season finale, which I can't say I disagree with. Yeah. Ian Somerhalder stated that being part of Lost was, quote, the greatest year of his life.
Yeah, but this is not the last we see of Boone, if I remember correctly.
No, we're going to get him in some, the nature of Lost. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that he comes back in like flashbacks and we'll see him again. IGN, the gaming and entertainment website, ranked Boone's death as number 4 on their top 10 lost deaths, which I thought was quite high.
I thought you were going to say like TV deaths, but no, it's just lost deaths.
So in this episode, Boone says to Jack, I know you made me a promise. I'm letting you off the hook. That sound familiar?
Not really.
Rose said these exact words to Jack in the episode Walkabout.
That's right.
And they are said to him again in a flashback in a later episode, but stay tuned for that.
Ooh, interesting.
So in the scene where Kate gets back up after falling and breaking the booze bottles, you can hear actress Evangeline Lilly mumble the word fuck under her breath. And it got past the censors, apparently.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Fuck.
Well, I mean, hold on. It's just a second. Blink and you will miss it.
Blink with your ears.
Yeah, okay, so you can't hear her close it out with a consonant sound. You just hear "fa."
Okay.
Which I imagine is how it got past the censors.
Okay, so I have only one goof for this episode.
Oh, okay.
And it's not even that egregious a one. They forgot to put the handcuff on Jin's arm in the not opening scene, his first scene where Sawyer and them are eating fish, but it's later on his arm again when he hears Kate calling for help.
Oh, that's true. I'm looking at the scene here now where he's hacking away. Yeah, no handcuff.
Yeah.
That's a definite continuity error.
Yeah, that's the only sort of continuity goof. There is this next one is somewhat of a goof as well. It's just to say, in real life, Jack marrying one of his former patients would be considered a major ethics violation for which he could have his medical license revoked.
Oh shit, that is so true.
That did occur to me. I won't lie. When I was watching it, I was like, as soon as Sarah did her speech at the rehearsal wedding, I was like, this seems weird.
Yeah, a bit odd, but it's believable.
True. At one point, Sawyer calls Jin Kato.
Oh yeah, what's this a reference to?
Yeah, this is a reference to a character played by Bruce Lee from the 1960s TV series, The Green Hornet. Shit.
Yeah, there was a remake of that with Seth fucking Rogen in it.
Yeah, true.
It is a stupid ass movie.
Bit of casual racism from Sawyer there.
Another
cultural reference here. Apparently, when Christian Shepherd says in the flashback with Jack, when he says, you're a doctor, not a writer. Do you remember when he says that?
Yeah.
Apparently that's a reference to Star Trek and to Dr. Leonard McCoy's catchphrase. You know, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a writer.
Huh. Never caught that. Then again, I never watched it.
Okay, so here's a bit of trivia. In the first pre-wedding flashback, Jack's tattoos have been painted over, suggesting there may be a story to tell there.
No, it's just telling us that he hasn't got them yet.
All right, so I love this one, okay? So I think it's the piano flashback, Sarah is wearing a t-shirt with the number 44 on it. First of all, 4 is one of the numbers.
I call that a stretch.
Let me expand on it. By the end of the episode, there are only 44 survivors of the plane crash remaining.
Oh, fuck.
Sarah predicted Boone's death. I got it. You got to think that was intentional, right? I like that a lot.
Maybe.
Here's a stretch, right? This one. This is unconfirmed. But
Go on.
Aaron is born in this episode and Boone dies. Okay, that is confirmed, but this next one's unconfirmed. There was a player and later a manager for the New York Yankees named Aaron Boone, and Damon Lindelof is a massive Yankees fan. So it's not confirmed, but there's a chance this is why he named the baby Aaron, I guess. Bit of a stretch. I just thought it was an interesting parallel.
Aaron Boone. There's a name for you.
All right, you ready for my last bit of trivia?
Go on, put me out of my misery.
I put this one in here specifically to annoy you. Are you ready?
Yes.
When trying to help Boone, Jack says that, quote, he needs blood. Ian Somerhalder later played a vampire on the Vampire Diaries.
I thought you were going to say Ian Somerhalder is human and therefore actually needs blood in real life.
I love this trivia like that.
That's so fucking stupid. That does not count as trivia.
Yeah, it does.
No, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It counts as my very last piece of trivia. That's it for the trivia. That's it for the episode. What a jolly good time we had here today.
Absolute romp was had.
Absolutely. Please check us out on social media. Please share this podcast. We're in the home stretch, gang. So tune into our last few episodes. And if you fancy pushing it out to some people, we really appreciate that. Ado, before we go, do you have a theory this week?
I do. My theory this week is that Jack was actually rocking an erection at the thought of chopping Boone's leg off because he's been looking for an excuse to use the guillotine.
Well, that explains the thumbnail.
Hi-oh!
All right, that'll do it for us this week. For my co-host, Ado, my name is Dave. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, you haven't lost anything until you've lost the plot.
Good night.
Happy birthday, man. Lost the Plot is produced by me and Ado. The artwork is by Jimmy Purcell of BeenBetterComic.com. The music is by Noel Brennan of No Exit. You can check out No Exit wherever you stream your music. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LostThePlotLads, and you can email us at losttheplotlads@gmail.com.